This is the story of how actress Melissa Gilbert condemned child sex abuse on social media, just weeks before her husband, Emmy-winning actor Timothy Busfield, became the subject of an arrest warrant on charges of criminal sexual contact of a minor and child abuse. The Albuquerque Police Department issued a warrant for Busfield's arrest on January 9, 2026, following allegations made by two child actors who worked with him on the Fox series The Cleaning Lady. The timing creates an uncomfortable question, because Gilbert had posted a passionate statement about protecting children on November 15, 2025, at a time when police had already interviewed her husband about these very allegations. Before we go any further, let me be direct about something. Timothy Busfield has not been convicted of any crime. An arrest warrant exists, allegations have been made, but under our legal system, he remains innocent until a court proves otherwise. What you're about to hear comes from multiple news organizations, all citing official police documents and court records. These are the facts as they've been reported, nothing more. Timothy Busfield is a 68-year-old actor and director whose career stretches back for decades. In 1991, he won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a drama series for playing Elliot Weston on 30-something. Anyone who watched The West Wing remembers him as Danny Concannon, the reporter pursuing C.J. Craig through 7 seasons. He appeared in Field of Dreams back in 1989 as Mark, and way before that, he played Arnold Poindexter in Revenge of the Nerds in 1984. 3 children came from his previous marriages, Samuel, Wilson, and Daisy. 2 ex-wives preceded Melissa Gilbert, actress and director Radha Delamarter, and fashion designer Jennifer Merwin. He married Gilbert on January 24, 2013, and by all outward appearances, the marriage was solid for over a decade. Melissa Gilbert spent 9 years playing Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, from 1974 to 1983, growing up on screen while America watched. Now 61 years old, she married Timothy Busfield after 2 previous marriages to Bo Brinkman and Bruce Boxleitner, which gave her 2 sons. The marriage to Busfield seemed stable, lasting more than 10 years before any of this came to light. That relationship is now being examined in a completely different context. 2 11-year-old twin brothers worked as child actors on The Cleaning Lady, a Fox series that ran from January 2022 to June 2025 over 4 seasons. Busfield held 2 positions on that show, director and executive producer, helming 6 episodes total. Warner Brothers Television produced the series, with Elodie Young in the lead role. Court documents identify the boys as SL and VL, born in 2014, and according to the arrest warrant, Busfield allegedly instructed them to call him Uncle Tim. Their time on the show spanned multiple seasons until the production aged them out of their roles and let them go. One victim told police the alleged abuse started when he was 7 years old. November 2022 to spring 2024, that's the time frame investigators say the abuse occurred, right in the middle of the show's production run. What these children told investigators is disturbing, and the only responsible way to present it is factually and directly. One boy told police that Busfield touched his poop and pee area during production. The touching happened 3 to 4 times on his poop and pee area over his clothing, according to the child's statement. When investigators asked why he didn't speak up, the boy explained he was very afraid of Tim and was relieved when he was off set. The power dynamic couldn't be clearer in what came next. The child said he was afraid to tell anyone because Tim was the director, and he feared Tim would get mad at him. That fear makes sense when you understand how the entertainment industry works. Directors control everything for actors, especially child actors whose entire careers can rise or fall based on these relationships. The psychological damage appears in the arrest warrant documents. One alleged victim now suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety. The warrant includes this detail. SL disclosed having nightmares about the director touching him and waking up scared. A child waking up terrified because of what an adult did to him. November 2024 is when everything started moving. A doctor at the University of New Mexico Hospital in Albuquerque contacted police about alleged sexual abuse. And on November 1st, 2024, Albuquerque Police Officer Marvin Kirkbrown spoke with the victim's parents. Fast forward to October 2025, when the victim's mother filed a police report and contacted Child Protective Services. The warrant states she told authorities that her children both disclosed that there was sexual abuse by Timothy from around November 2022 to spring 2024. Halloween night, October 31st, 2025, a forensic child interviewer sat down with both boys while Officer Brown observed. Here's something important. In those early hospital interviews, the children mentioned unwanted tickling, but nothing about sexual contact. Only later, when social workers and therapists created a safer environment, did the full allegations of inappropriate touching emerge. Child abuse experts will tell you this progression happens all the time. Children feel scared or ashamed, and revealing what happened takes time and the right circumstances before they can share everything. November 3rd, 2025, Officer Brown conducted a phone interview with Timothy Busfield, and Melissa Gilbert was on speakerphone for the entire conversation. Busfield told the officer it was highly likely he had picked up or tickled the children on set to maintain a playful environment. He confirmed that both he and Gilbert had built a relationship with the children and their family beyond the set, and acknowledged that they did buy the two boys Christmas gifts and were together on several social functions. The conversation took a defensive turn when Busfield claimed he'd heard from the show's lead actress, Elodie Young, that the boy's mother wanted revenge because her sons didn't return for the final season. His exact words to investigators were, "There would never be a weird moment about it. I don't really remember picking those boys up." Then he added, "I remember picking up the boy who followed them. I'd pick him up, and he'd be giggling, and that would sort of get him ready to act." What matters here is that Busfield admitted to physical contact with children on set, even while framing it as innocent and work-related. Officer Marvin Kirk Brown laid out his assessment in the arrest warrant, and his language was blunt. He wrote, "In my training and experience, pedophiles often infiltrate families under a trusted role, like Timothy, who, as a producer, exploited the hectic film sets to tickle and touch SL on his penis and buttocks, masking it as play." The statement continued, describing what Brown saw as a pattern. He would invite the family to off-set gatherings, with his wife buying Christmas gifts to foster closeness, making SL feel special and dependent, classic grooming to erode boundaries, isolate the victim, and silence suspicions by blending abuse into normalcy. Brown's final point was this: this dual tactic, charming parents while secretly violating the child, builds a web of complicity that is hard to unravel, delaying detection as families trust the abuser's facade. This is one officer's interpretation of the evidence, not a conviction. But this interpretation convinced him to seek an arrest warrant, and it convinced a judge to issue one. November 15th, 2025, 12 days after sitting on speakerphone while police interviewed her husband about child abuse allegations, Melissa Gilbert made a public Instagram post condemning child sex abuse. The post responded to Megyn Kelly's comments about Jeffrey Epstein. Kelly had suggested that some skeptics didn't view Epstein as a pedophile, saying, "There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old, you know?" Women across social media pushed back hard against that statement, and Gilbert joined them. Her post began, "So, I debated posting this, but I feel compelled to share. After seeing many women's posts with the hashtags #AWAS15, #M15, #IWasAChild, I decided to Google search myself at that age and see what came up. And this is some of what I found, and now, at this age, at this time, I am actually nauseated." Gilbert shared photos of herself at 15 on a family vacation, alongside an image of her kissing 23-year-old Little House on the Prairie co-star Dean Butler. 8 years separated them when they filmed romantic scenes together, and looking back at those images through a modern lens clearly disturbed her. Her reflection hit hard. "Through the lens of today, this is shocking. I have no words other than to say, I was a child. I was 15, and I was the good news. Thank God my mom and Michael and so many others were there to make sure I was safe. Can you imagine if I hadn't had them all?" She ended with a direct message. At McGinkley, you need to be careful with your words. Gilbert never alleged any inappropriate conduct by Dean Butler. She was making a broader point about how society once accepted relationships with 15-year-olds that we'd find unacceptable today. But here's what makes this post impossible to ignore. When Gilbert wrote those words, she already knew her husband was under investigation for sexually abusing children. She'd been on speakerphone for the police interview. She knew everything. January 4th, 2026, prosecutors filed the arrest warrant in Bernalillo County Metropolitan Court in New Mexico. 5 days later, on January 9th, a judge signed off and issued it. The charges against Busfield are 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse. As of January 10th, 2026, when news outlets broke the story, nobody knew for certain whether Busfield had been arrested. Court records showed no booking, though records did show he maintains a residence in Albuquerque where the warrant was issued. A conviction carries a minimum of 3 years behind bars. New Mexico law treats sex crimes against minors with sentences that vary widely based on context and circumstances, and those sentences jump substantially when the victims are under 13. One victim claims the abuse started when he was 7, which means that sentencing enhancement could apply if this case reaches conviction. Warner Brothers Television knew about the allegations before police went public and conducted an internal investigation. Detective Marvin Brown later complained that Warner Brothers made it very difficult to obtain information for this case. Brown had to get a search warrant just to receive a copy of the company's investigative report, and even then, 3 months passed before they handed it over. The company's investigation ended without corroborating the allegations. But witnesses told police something concerning. The on-set special teacher assigned to watch the children would sometimes lose sight of them, which points to supervision failures during production. Warner Brothers released a statement in January 2026 after the warrant became public. The health and safety of our cast and crew is always our top priority, especially the safety of minors on our productions. We take all allegations of misconduct very seriously and have systems in place to promptly and thoroughly investigate, and when needed, take appropriate action. We are aware of the current charges against Mr. Busfield and have been and will continue to cooperate with law enforcement. Elodie Young, the show's lead actress, declined to speak with police, telling them she does not want to be involved in the investigation. Another allegation appears in the arrest warrant from someone who claimed to witness something in the hair and makeup trailer. According to this anonymous person, Busfield entered and kissed a minor male on the face as the minor was getting a haircut. The complaint went further, alleging that pictures exist showing Busfield tickling and caressing the head and body of minor boys. Whether investigators have obtained these pictures or what they might show remains unknown. 2 previous accusations of sexual misconduct exist in Timothy Busfield's past, though neither resulted in criminal charges. During the filming of Little Big League in 1994, a 17-year-old female extra sued Busfield in Los Angeles Superior Court. Her lawsuit claimed Busfield assaulted her, served her alcohol, groped her, and attempted sex in a trailer. Busfield denied everything and countersued, accusing the girl's lawyers of extortion and defamation. The case settled for an undisclosed amount. Busfield's defamation lawsuit against the law firm Messerly and Kramer got dismissed, and U.S. District Judge James Eidman ordered Busfield to pay nearly $150,000 to the firm. No criminal charges were filed. March 18, 2012, a 28-year-old woman accused Busfield of battery in a Los Angeles movie theater. She alleged he slipped his hands under her clothes and touched her genitals for 4 minutes. Busfield claimed the contact was consensual. No lawsuit followed. Prosecutors passed on the case, citing slim evidence, and no charges were filed. These earlier allegations don't prove guilt in the current case, but 3 decades of accusations from different accusers create a troubling pattern. When the arrest warrant went public on January 10, 2026, people flooded Melissa Gilbert's social media with questions and comments about her husband. By that same day, Saturday, Gilbert had deactivated her Instagram account. Anyone trying to visit her page saw only, "Profile isn't available." The link may be broken, or the profile may have been removed. Her Facebook account went dark around the same time. Neither Timothy Busfield nor Melissa Gilbert has made any public statement about the allegations or the arrest warrant. Busfield's legal representative ignored requests for comment. Gilbert's representative did the same. Child protection in the entertainment industry gets exposed by cases like this one, and the exposure isn't flattering. Power dynamics between adult authority figures and child actors. Abuse happening in plain sight disguised as innocent interactions. Families trusting the wrong people because those people hold positions of power. All of it comes into focus. Officer Brown's description of alleged grooming behavior reads like a textbook example. The pattern he describes involves Busfield and Gilbert building relationships with the victims' families, buying gifts, attending social gatherings, making the children feel special. That's grooming, creating trust with both child and family to generate opportunities for abuse while making disclosure less likely. Warner Brothers conducted an investigation but couldn't corroborate the allegations, which raises uncomfortable questions about what corporations can uncover and what they're willing to do with whatever they find. The detail about the on-set teacher losing sight of the children suggests systemic failures in protecting minors during production. Melissa Gilbert's situation might be the most difficult piece of this entire puzzle. She sat on speakerphone during the police interview with her husband. She knew he was being investigated for child sexual abuse. Less than 2 weeks later, she posted passionately about protecting children from sexual abuse, using her own childhood experiences to make her point. Was she in denial? Was she trying to get ahead of the story? Did she genuinely not believe the allegations and see no contradiction between defending her husband privately and defending children publicly? Was she signaling something to the public? We have no answers because Gilbert hasn't spoken publicly about any of it. Her social media silence and account deactivations suggest lawyers have advised her to stay quiet, which makes sense from a legal standpoint. Spouses of accused individuals occupy an impossible space. They might genuinely not know what their partner has done. They might be processing shocking information. They might be weighing loyalty against moral convictions. They might be protecting themselves legally. They might be complicit. We don't know where Gilbert stands because she hasn't told us. And until she does, any speculation is just that. If Busfield gets arrested or turns himself in, he'll be booked and likely have a bail hearing. Formal charges will follow. He'll enter a plea. And if that plea is not guilty, the case moves toward trial, though most cases settle before reaching that stage. Child sexual abuse cases take time, often a long time. Motions get filed, evidence gets presented, plea negotiations happen behind closed doors. The alleged victims might have to testify, which traumatizes children who've already experienced trauma. Our legal system operates on the presumption of innocence, and that principle matters. Timothy Busfield has the right to defend himself against these allegations. The prosecution must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That's not just a legal technicality, it's the foundation of justice. At the same time, allegations of child sexual abuse demand serious attention. Children rarely fabricate detailed and specific allegations like these. The psychological harm described in the arrest warrant, the nightmares, the PTSD, the anxiety, these are real consequences experienced by real children whose lives have been altered. A beloved actress from America's nostalgic past, married to an Emmy-winning actor and director who now faces serious criminal charges involving child sexual abuse. Her passionate defense of children posted on social media when she knew her husband was under investigation for allegedly abusing children. 2 child victims who made detailed allegations supported by a pattern of prior accusations against the same man spanning 3 decades. People will debate the timing of Melissa Gilbert's Instagram post for a long time. Was it tone-deaf, calculated, genuine, but tragically ironic? What was going through her mind on November 15, 2025, when she wrote those words? We may never fully understand. What we do know is limited but clear. 2 children made serious allegations. Police found those allegations credible enough to seek an arrest warrant. A judge found sufficient probable cause to issue that warrant. The case is far from over. More evidence will emerge as this story develops. The defense will present its arguments, and eventually a jury or judge will decide. Until then, the legal system will work through this the way it works through every case, slowly and methodically. And at the center of it all are 2 children who deserve to have their voices heard and their experiences validated, regardless of what the ultimate outcome turns out to be. Thank you for watching.